Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was walking down the steps of Congress when she ran into a Republican Congressman, Representative Ted Yoho. You know, one of the 4 congressmen to vote against making lynching a federal crime, who she'd never spoken to before, and for some reason he decided to accost her and call her an effing bitch over a piece of legislation surrounding police funding. So Republican congressmen are just turning into MAGA Twitter trolls right there in the halls of Congress. Classy. Representative Ted Yoho was coming down the steps on the east side of the Capitol on Monday, having just voted, when he approached Ocasio-Cortez, who was ascending into the building to cast a vote of her own. In a brief but heated exchange, which was overheard by a reporter, Yoho told Ocasio-Cortez she was disgusting for recently suggesting that poverty and unemployment are driving a spike in crime in New York City during the coronavirus pandemic. That seems logical to me, but okay. You are out of your freaking mind, Yoho told her. Ocasio-Cortez shot back, telling Yoho he was being rude. Yeah. The two then parted ways. Ocasio-Cortez headed into the building, while Yoho, joined by Representative Roger Williams, began descending toward the House office buildings a few steps down. Yoho offered a parting thought to no one in particular. Effing bitch, he said. Jesus, that kind of confrontation hasn't happened to me ever, Ocasio-Cortez said. I've never had that kind of abrupt, disgusting kind of disrespect levied at me. Approached a few hours later, Yoho declined to discuss any aspect of the exchange. No comment, he said. First of all, how triggered are Republicans by her? I mean, they simultaneously want to hook up with her and hate her for her skin color and the fact that she's a smart, outspoken progressive. It's this toxic stew, and it's really vile. It's really disgusting. Baked in misogyny, racism, hatred of change, of other people. It's gross. I mean, it should not be shocking that Yoho, who thankfully is not seeking another term, has these feelings for her. But the fact that he felt emboldened to approach her, his colleague, and speak to her that way, that is just beyond the pale and embodies all of that incel BS that I just described earlier. And look, you know, I admire her. I admire her strength. I always have, ever since I first met her. And the fact that she just said, you're being rude, that was well done and classy. It's just a case study in how Republicans respond to her and how much she triggers them. And by the way, on the substance of what he was mad about, I do not understand how this is a controversy. Everyone from Trey Gowdy to Mike Huckabee to now Yoho was outraged by this. Brett Stevens, the bedbug, wrote an article in the New York Times criticizing these statements that she made, connecting crime and poverty in New York City. That's obvious. It's been like the most obvious connection for ages and ages and ages, that if there is more poverty, people will commit more crime. But no, the Republicans wanted to blame it on black and brown people just disrespecting cops. So that's why they were so angry about it. It's the most logical thing I can think of, and the fact that bothers them so much. I mean, we're seeing it not just in New York City, in other cities. Yeah, coronavirus, the response to it has caused a lot of poverty because of failures like you, Ted Yoho, for not putting in place a UBI, at least temporarily during the pandemic, to make sure that people are okay. So perhaps that's also another part of why he's so triggered. Because he knows, maybe deep down, no, the poverty's your fault. It's your fault. Whew. Man. The misogyny, the racism, the fear of even their colleagues, just because of her ethnicity, her skin tone, her background, her strength, most of all. That's what scares them.